Recording in progress. Good morning, everyone. If it's possible that the PC secretary just indicate as to whether we are a quorum so that we can proceed with today's meeting.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members and everyone on the platform. Yes, Chairperson, the committee does form a quorum to proceed. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members. Welcome, everybody. We are going to deal with the agenda today. I first would like honorable members to propose, and I also need a second to accept the agenda for today's business. We are going to deal today with the briefing of both the Department Sport, Arts and Culture as well as Public Works on the legacy project infrastructures for sport, arts and culture, especially with the emphasis of those experiencing delays. Then we will also, if time allows, do the consideration and adoption of previous committee minutes following a closure thereof. I will also request the professional staff to stay behind after this meeting in order for us to deal with our management meeting. May I get a proposal that we can proceed with the agenda and a seconder?
I propose, Chair, it's Eugene Mtetwa. I propose the adoption of the agenda as it is. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Mtetwa. I take it that Honorable Khabo, you are seconded.
Agreed, Chair. I second the proposal.
Thank you so much. We are going to proceed. Is there any apologies for this specific meeting? I would like to assess whether there's any apologies from both the Department of Sports, the Portfolio Committee, as well as the Department of Public Works. Let me start with apologies for the Portfolio Committee. PC Secretary.
Yes, Chairperson. Honorable Mtetwa indicated that he might be in and out of the meeting due to an issue that he's dealing with, but he's in the meeting at the moment. And we also have an apology from the acting DG, Mr. Busin Dima. He's indicated that he will be on an official visit to Zambia on the repatriation of human remains. And we also have an apology from the Minister Chairperson, who is in Russia on official business as well, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Any apologies from the Department of Public Works? DG of Public Works, if you are present, any apologies?
Sorry, what's that, Mark? Good morning, Chair. Can you hear us?
Yes, you are audible, Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. And thank you. Do you want me just to go through our delegation list?
No, just the apologies. If there's any apologies, if none, we will then
I don't have
later on deal with
from the department.
Okay, thank you so much, Minister. What we're going to do, honorable members.
Sorry, Chair. Just to note that I will be leaving by 11 because I do have a cabinet committee to attend.
Thanks. Noted, Minister. The procedure will be as follows. We normally give the Department Sport, Arts and Culture an opportunity to introduce and also have their comments. And in this particular case, we will also have the Minister of Department of Public Works, who will have introduction remarks and also introduce his entourage. But for now, I am going to deal with the opening remarks and welcoming. Good morning, honorable members of the committee, the Minister and Deputy Minister, officials from the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, as well as the Minister of Public Works and his delegation. Also, good morning to the professional staff present in this meeting today. In November, honorable members, 2023, the Auditor General of South Africa, Tsakane Maluleka, tabled the 2022-2023 General Report for national and provincial departments, their entities and legislatures. The General Report was based on 137 audited infrastructure projects focusing on critical infrastructure. I must emphasize that during the audit, officials from the Auditor General of South Africa visited 112 of the 137 projects to gather information. This concluded that there was an increasing number of incomplete and abandoned infrastructure, budget overruns, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, inadequate coordination and collaboration between departments and implementation agencies, failure to conduct proper audits, and failure to conduct a proper assessment. In other words, departments implemented projects without properly establish the needs of the communities where such projects are delivered. There was also a lack of accountability. That is, the department do not use the contracts to hold service providers accountable. Inadequate monitoring. Sadly, heritage infrastructure projects like Robben Island and Sarah Baartman has suffered the most under these findings. Honorable members, as a result, these projects that are meant to restore human dignity, whilst we dare not forget the brutality of apartheid, the Sarah Baartman Center was initiated in 2014 and meant to be completed in 2016. Also, 10 years later, the project remains incomplete due to contractual disputes. Honorable members, this committee has vowed to take our role on oversight seriously. Yesterday morning, I called Mr. Fukula, the CEO of Robben Island. I insisted on a very short notice to visit Robben Island half an hour before the first boat took off. I have done so to reflect on the projects based on the updated infrastructure plan in front of us today. I was highly impressed in the way and the manner how I was treated by the Department Sport, Arts and Culture. Kudos and thumbs up to Ms. Maputla, Diane, and particular Wayne Basic. Now that the contractor Brawl is on site to manage the repairs and maintenance work, I can personally attest to the fact that there is hope for the preservation of our rich heritage. Honorable members, I do have a physical and tangible experience that the tripartite agreement between Department Sports, Arts and Culture, the RIM, and also the DPWI can work only if and when they plan well and keep contractors accountable to effectively utilize public finances and resources. I cannot and will not say the same with the Sarah Baartman and other projects where corruption, fraud, extortion, blackmail, abuse, maladministration is the order of the day. We are looking forward to hearing from the two respective departments on what steps both departments has taken on the shoddy, poor quality of work and to ensure that contractors are held accountable for this mess. But before we're going to start, honorable members, give an opportunity to both departments to do their presentations and introduction, I would like us to observe a moment of silence to pay a tribute to the legendary poet James Matthews. If there is any other honorable member who would also like to put a motion of someone who has passed on, please feel free to do so. I am now going to give a moment of silence. Honorable Mtetwa.
Thank you, Chair. In the same breath, I would like to propose a motion to a moment of silence for one of our legends, Mapaputsi, who has passed on.
Thank you, Honorable Mtetwa. We will now have a moment of silence, honorable members. Honorable members, thank you so much. I am now going to invite Minister McPherson to introduce his team with us, and after that the department, and then we will give the I think we will give the Minister McPherson the opportunity to address us and also assist us with the introduction as well as the department's presentation.
Thank you very much, Chair, and let me greet the committee of sports, arts and culture, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you virtually this morning, and thank you for accepting my request to depart early to attend the Cabinet Subcommittee this morning. Chair, let me introduce my delegation that is with me. I have the Director General of the department, Mr. Mdakani. He is to my left. I would think to your right. I have Mr. Lawazi Mhlangu, our Deputy Director General for Corporate Risk and Governance in the department. He's to my right, and to your left, we have the Deputy Director General for Facilities Management, Mr. Samuels. He is online. The Chief Director for Construction Project Management, Mr. Bangwane. Yeah. He is online. We also have the CEO for IDT. He is online as well. And my Chief of Staff, Mr. Michael Bailefeld. Chair, with your permission, I'd like to address the committee on the report that is before you, if I may proceed.
Honorable Minister, yes, I think we can do it this way. I also, let me make use of this opportunity, note that Honorable Member Kobane is also present in this meeting. I would like, from MK, I would like to say to him also, welcome, Honorable Kobane, better known as Papa Penny. Welcome. Minister McPherson, you may proceed.
Through you, Chair.
Honorable Eugene.
Chair, I would like to pose this question to the Minister to address it in the process of addressing us on. I see men of the hostel dwellers around the table. Is it the true reflection of the department that only males are the closest, or do we have women within the high rank of the department? Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Teto. Would you like the Minister to respond while he is going to present?
Yes, to respond on that matter, if there are any women in the higher ranks of the department, or is the picture, and then he can then continue with the presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Teto. Minister McPherson.
Thanks, Chair. I'll be guided by you. We have many women in very senior positions in our department, and the Honourable Member would also be more than welcome to submit a question to Parliament, and I'd be happy to provide that breakdown to you.
Thank you, Honorable McPherson. Minister, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me say that the reason why I have requested to brief the committee ahead of this report is due to my unhappiness about the report that has been compiled to you. This issue only became brought to my attention when a report was generated for this committee, and I had not been briefed at all about the seriousness of the issues that you are correctly contemplating today. I then immediately contacted Minister Mackenzie, and I also flagged this with him. And in his words, he said, quote unquote, "I'm livid." And I share his view on this particular report, because we deem these issues to be incredibly important, not only to the department, but to the nation. And to not have the respective departments engage the ministers, I think is a cause for concern and something that I am definitely taking up internally. And quite frankly, I don't accept the work or the oversight that has been done with regards to the Sarah Baartman Centre of Remembrance with respect to the continued failures that have taken place. I think that there are serious concerns that should be addressed around the incomplete progress and, quite frankly, mismanagement of the project in total. I have requested a meeting with Minister Mackenzie because we both share our deep concern about the lack of progress that has been made. And I welcome your comments, Chair, around the overruns and the incompleteness of the project. Minister Mackenzie and myself will also be meeting to establish a way forward, not only with regards to the Sarah Baartman Remembrance Centre, but also that of the Robben Island precinct, which you have also correctly highlighted. The project has faced significant delays since its construction tender was issued in April of 2014. 10 years later, it is still incomplete. And that speaks to a bigger problem and further concerns that I share with you, that we simply do not hold those that are awarded government tenders, that are given public money, accountable to the extent that they should be. Only 37% of the project has been completed in 10 years, despite millions of rand, substantial amounts of money being spent. We have had three contractors involved over the last 10 years, and yet construction remains delayed and incomplete. Both Minister Mackenzie and myself agree that the current status in this particular project is unacceptable and will never be accepted in its current form, and significant action is needed to prevent further waste of taxpayers' money. And Chair, through you, I absolutely want to implore and request the committee's assistance to bring those officials accountable for this project before the committee and hold them accountable for the incomplete work that ultimately falls under them. The failure to adequately brief both Minister and Mackenzie and myself is unacceptable, and I have made this known to the department this morning in my meeting with senior officials. And further, Chair, it is unacceptable that such delays and cost overruns have occurred without ministerial oversight, and that is going to change. Because we would be doing a disservice to honouring the legacy of Sarah Baartman. The centre should honour Sarah Baartman's memory, but the current situation fails to do so and is in fact a dishonour to her memory. The delays and additional costs are disrespectful to her legacy and must and will be addressed urgently. I remain committed to finding a solution through and with Minister Mackenzie and with the support of the Portfolio Committee to resolve concerns and develop a plan for timely completion. We must explore potential solutions that can be applied to the other memorial projects across South Africa. Further, we must address fruitless and wasteful expenditure and downright corruption that has taken place in this project and other projects. The era of incomplete and neglected memorial projects must come to an end if we are to honour our past and take ownership of our future. And I want to say that it is something that both Minister Mackenzie and myself want to ensure comes to an immediate stop. Chair, I also want to reflect, if I may, on the Robben Island project. In our bilateral meeting that is coming up, that will also be the subject of discussion between the two of us about how we can turn Robben Island into a superstar national tourism and heritage site that we can all be proud of. And this morning, I was even speaking with my team that we must seek external and additional funding from UNESCO, from memorial trusts, from philanthropic people who help and provide funding for great national projects. We must also seek additional funding from there so we can get up to scratch with where we want to be then. Then, Chair, I want to turn my attention to about 8 or 9 projects that were being done in conjunction between the department and the ID team. There was an MOU that had existed between our two departments that has subsequently been cancelled. And those projects have been taken back by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. And I think that is another area of concern, that the seeming closely working relationship between two departments has actually disintegrated. And Minister Mackenzie and myself will reflect on how we are able to better work together going forward. Chairperson, in closing, I deemed it important to come to the committee to take you into my confidence and to share my frustration and rejection of the current state of affairs. Too often, we allow memorial projects to honor great South Africans to become embroiled in corruption and mismanagement. And really, it is just something that we cannot accept, because instead of memorializing and acknowledging their contribution to the history of our country, in fact, what we now do is we attach corruption, shoddy work, mismanagement, extortion to their legacies. And that is not something that I'm prepared to accept, or this department going forward. So, Chairperson, with that opening, I will then hand over to the officials to present the report, which I have already expressed my my displeasure in its original state and the lateness that it was presented to myself and to you. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Minister. I am going to allow your entourage to indulge a little bit more, and perhaps I'm not too sure whether 10 minutes or 15 minutes will be fine, because I also want the Department Sport, Arts and Culture to respond, and should the DGs respond, I also would want them to explain and talk, taking into consideration the background, or rather speak again, towards the backdrop of the infrastructure management of both DPWI as well as DSAC as well, and what they have done when it comes to the monitoring as well as implementing of these projects. And alongside, I think what we, Minister, are eager to hear is to what extent and whether any action has been taken against a report that actually, when you read it, sounds like a horror movie. I think we're much interested in the action that has been taken. And as a committee, we have, like I've said, vowed to take our oversight serious and also to follow the money. If you read these kind of reports, I don't want to go in detail. Members will have the opportunity to ask these questions. If you read the report, it's additional monies, and we are talking millions of rands here. You may proceed. Thank you.
Chair, let me now hand over to Mr. Samuels, who will take us through the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before they proceed, I note a hand. Mandisa, I see. I note a hand. Is there a
Good
question or
morning.
legacy?
It's a question, Chair. I was checking with Chairperson if you have not omitted to allow us to introduce ourselves in the meeting so that we also feel comfortable that you are in the meeting. DSAC.
Yeah, I follow this route because the Minister of Public Works is leaving early. If they are done, I will give the department an opportunity to introduce themselves and also, have their rebuttal on what the Department of Public Works has said. If that is fine with you, Ms.
That will have to be concurred to by DPWI Chairperson. Good morning to honorable members, honorable Minister and all colleagues. Because the way we had structured the presentations, we had done a joint presentation with DPWI that we thought on Sarah Baartman was going to be presented by DSAC. And then the one on Robben Island was going to be led by DPWI. So that's why I felt, let me just speak to it so that we are all comfortable with the new arrangement than what we discussed. Thanks.
Okay, let us do this then. I will give you an opportunity to introduce and present, and then we'll give an opportunity to the department.
Okay.
Minister McPherson? Is there a hand, Minister McPherson? Or is it a
Yes,
legacy
sorry,
hand?
the DG wants to talk. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, the DG
Yeah.
just wants to say something.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members. I think the Chairperson was on the right track in a sense that we had understood that our minister is leaving at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And therefore, we were going to allow Mr. Samuels to present Robben Island, which is DPWI presented. And then after that joint Sarah Baartman, then DSAC can actually continue there. That's basically that was the logic. If the DG will
Yes,
allow us.
let's proceed in
Let's
proceed in that fashion.
Okay, thanks.
Can we please get an indication as to who will share the presentation from DPWI on the screen? Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Ricky Samuels. Richard Samuels is already connected. There is.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, Honorable Members. I'm with the project manager for Robben Island TFM, which is the Total Facilities Management Contract. The project manager, for the information of the members of the committee, is a female in facilities management, Advocate Nishi Sharma. I will do the presentation. I'm going to do that as best as I can because I can hear some feedback on my side. I'm going to ask Advocate Sharma just to share the presentation quickly so that I can begin. Can we just be given sharing rights, please?
Yes, we've given the
Organizers to
sharing
do that,
rights to,
Chairperson.
we've given it to Mr. Is it Richard Samuel?
I think
Who
while
should
she's
give the
doing
rights
that,
to?
Chairperson, not to delay, if I could just introduce the presentation. Our
Chairperson.
presentation is on the presentation of the Robben Island Museum. In particular,
Are we able to
the
share the screen,
management
Mr.
contract.
Samuel?
We have
Oh,
initiated.
I think you're muted.
Am I muted?
Yeah, they can't hear you.
But I'm not muted here.
We are
Chair, I'm not
unable
sure
to
if
see.
I'm audible. On my side, I'm unmuted.
No, it's
Yes,
the presentation.
you are unmuted. Are we able to share the screen, Mr. Samuel?
They can't hear you. I don't know what.
Let me present from advocate's device. Let me come to your device. Sorry, Chair. I hope I'm audible. My name is Joshua. I'm presenting on behalf of my apologies for the feedback earlier.
Yeah, can they mute the first mic?
Switch this camera off there. We're just waiting for advocate to load the presentation. But if I may start, Chairperson, through you. Good morning once again, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Minister, Honourable Members. We're going to be presenting the presentation on the total facilities management contract for Robben Island. I had indicated, I'm not sure if you could hear me. Am I muted?
You are
can hear
audible. You
you.
may proceed, Mr. Samuel. You are audible. You may proceed.
Thank you. My apologies, Chairperson. I'm with the project manager, who is a female in facility management at DPWI. She spends quite a lot of time with the Robben Island Museum Council and colleagues from Department of Arts and Culture, Sports Arts and Culture. I'm going to be presenting the progress on the facilities management contract. Just to indicate that in terms of the table of contents, I won't spend a lot of time on this. But we're going to look at the purpose, the background, the status quo, which I know the members would be very interested in. And I think the members would also be interested to know what critical impact areas we are looking at. And then obviously there's always challenges, and then what we recommend as going forward. Just next slide, please. We need to just appreciate the invitation from the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture and the Portfolio Committee for allow the Minister, Honourable Minister, to present to you this presentation, which we are doing on his behalf. And then I think it's important for us to understand, much as the members of the Portfolio Committee have a good context and understanding of the prestige and historical significance of the Robben Island Museum, I think it was very important for us to have that same appreciation when we drafted the terms of reference with regards to the total facilities management contract. What is important to note is that it's important that the Robben Island Museum, being a World Heritage Site, as proclaimed by UNESCO, maintenance or regular maintenance and continuous maintenance is of paramount importance. And it's important for us to understand that in addition to that, we need to, as Public Works, allocate whatever budget we have, or that what is on our allocation in terms of our repairs and refurbishment budget, to activities on the island. I think it's also noteworthy and common knowledge that DPWI is the custodian of the island, in the same way that we are custodians of other islands such as Goch, Antarctica, Marion Island, and so on. And that just in terms of the background, until 1996, the maintenance of the island was done by DPW personnel, mainly staying on the island, basically inhabitants of the island. And we had a number of artisans, horticulturists, gardeners, and so on that's been in the department. But through a process of natural attrition between 1996 and 2002, we lost those skills and the capacity. Hence, there was some sort of deterioration of maintenance, and we found it necessary for us to address it through a more comprehensive means of service delivery. I think noteworthy also is that the public protector, the members of the committee, and yourself, Chairperson, will know, reported on the poor state of the island, forcing stakeholders to come together. And you, Chairperson, alluded to that earlier in terms of our tripartite agreement with the Robben Island Museum Council, with the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and DPWI, and that we've been making a very significant progress. The Director General has also been an integral part of that in terms of signing the necessary tripartite agreements. I think the other point that I just want to highlight in terms of the background is I've already made reference to it, but we need to comply with the National Heritage Resources Act. And there we work closely with SARA to make sure that our terms of reference comply with all the necessary legislation. Also important to note is that subsequent to the national attrition process that took place within Public Works, Robben Island Museum took over the maintenance from DPW in 2012. But due to capacity constraints at RIM, it was then handed back to DPW in 2014. At some point, we had a service provider or an implementing agent, namely Kucha, that was responsible for some of the work. I won't go into any detail of that. Our colleagues at RIM will know more about that project. If I could move to some of the other slides and move as quickly as I can. Just in terms of what we are executing in terms of the background of the actual project, I think the members would want to have an appreciation of what it is that's included in the terms of reference of this particular project. We recently, through our panel of service providers on our TFM panel, went out to the market. We advertised the tender and we made an award to Brawl Facilities Management on the 24th of May 2024. The budget for this project is provided by DPWI. I think the Minister alluded to that earlier. The project is for a period of 36 months, and the budget comes from our repairs and refurbishment program. We do have a tripartite agreement between DPWI, DSAC, and RIM, and it's in its final stages of getting the final approvals. But notwithstanding that, we are working very well together in terms of rolling out certain projects, which includes the TFM contract. Just in terms of the next slide, I think just to get some appreciation of what the scope of works is, because I think the members would want to engage Public Works on this. So the first block on your far left, which is the planning block, most of that has already been done. So we've done the facilities condition assessment. I think what's important to note is that the condition assessment cannot just be on buildings and assets as you see them in immovable structures, but also in componentized assets. Because what you want is your users, your client, the visitors, or anybody who wants to lay a complaint or open a complaint on any particular item, it must be a reference to a particular asset or plant or element. Paramount is the occupational health and safety assessment. I think we need to discuss that a bit in some more detail, because the members will know that there are other occupational health and safety issues that are not necessarily part of the TOR, but we'll discuss that just very briefly later on with your indulgence. And then energy efficiency is also part of the terms of reference, and the development of a maintenance plan as well as a project execution plan. In terms of the next block really talks about the hard services, and the hard services are minor repairs. This is not a capital project. This is a total facilities management project, but we do make provision for minor repairs that need critical attention. We'll go through some of that in a moment. And then we have the all-important elements of preventative maintenance, which is interval-based and condition-based, and then corrective maintenance, which are emergency breakdowns. We'll talk a bit about the system that we've introduced to make the operations of DSAC and the Robben Island inhabitants a lot easier. The third block is the soft services, which include landscaping, pest and wildlife control. We understand and we know that the wildlife on the island is very important to our client. So that is an element of the TOR. Obviously, waste management, horticultural services, and then there will be other soft services as required by our user or our client. And then the last block is the monitoring and control. We have a fully functional service desk and call center. We have an ERP platform that is linked to the total facilities management contract, and it has the elements, the all-important elements of quality management, occupational health and safety audits, project management services, and energy efficiency. I think just to conclude on this slide, I think it's important to note that what we aim for, there are thresholds that we hold our service provider to. And in terms of the threshold for preventative maintenance, it must be equal to exceed 70%. That's on the preventative side, because that is what we're aiming to achieve. On the corrective side, we want it to be less than 20%. The two are directly related. And then minor works also just under 10%. In terms of the next slide, I won't spend too much time on this slide, but it really talks about the management structure or the governance structure that we put in place together with the Robben Island Museum Council, Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, DPW, and obviously the service providers. So we have three levels. We have a steercom, we have a manco, and we have an opsco. The responsibilities of the steerco.
My humble apologies, Mr. Samuels. My humble apologies. I see a hand. Honorable Mtetwa.
Chair, I don't know whether it is my system that has frozen, but I hear the speaker talking about block this, block that. I don't see my screen moving. It's only on, it's still on background.
Oh,
I don't know whether I'm left behind.
myself, I can see the screen. It may be a technical side on your side, but myself, I can see the screen. Proceed, Honorable. Mr. Samuels, proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. I'm hoping that the member also has the hard copy of the submission. What I was talking to on the next slide, Chairperson, was just for us to share with the honorable members and yourself as Honorable Chair, the governance structure that we've implemented. So I've indicated earlier that we have a very good working relationship with DSAC and with RIM through the tripartite agreement. The governance structure has three levels, which is a steerco, a manco, and an opsco. I won't spend a lot of time on the left part of the slide with the diagrams, but just to indicate to you, Chairperson, that the steerco's responsibility is obviously to provide a unified direction to the manco and to facilitate proper integration of the manco with the functional structures of the participating organizations. And the only added organization in this case, apart from government, is the TFM service provider. So the TFM SP is BROL in this case. And we want to make sure that we have effective decision-making on this project and other issues that might arise, and to deal with them and come up with appropriate decisions and resolutions on how we take this forward. And where necessary, also bring it to you for your for discussion with you and for guidance from your committee chairperson, and then to assess the recommendations made from MANCO, which might be out of scope. I think this is a matter that is relevant for this discussion, for our Honourable Minister to note, as well as our Director General, but also yourselves, because there are other issues that that needs to be addressed, that we'll discuss in a little bit more detail, but our colleagues will also assist us with that. If you can move to the next slide, please, Advocate. The next slide, I'll go very quickly, Chairperson. I don't want to waste too much time. The MANCO responsibilities are also the obvious responsibilities of a normal MANCO, to provide direction to the OPSCO, issues about day-to-day management of the project, to provide comprehensive reports to our stakeholders, including yourselves, Chairperson, to keep records of project management, to assess the recommendations made by the OPSCO, and to advise the SteerCo on deviations from the projects regarding cost and scope as they arise, if they do arise, and to discuss it with our principals, our executive authority, our director general, and yourselves as necessary. And then the next slide is just very briefly the OPSCO responsibilities is really the operations, where we expect our service providers as well as our own management to work together and to ensure that that the project is managed well, that there's quality of services, there's assessment and processing of variation orders, obviously through the correct processes, and to make recommendations to MANCO. It's at this level that we also interact very well or on a regular basis with our regional manager. Our regional manager, Ms. Painter, is also one of our female officials within the department. So on this particular project, we have two very competent and skilled females who are running this project, one at the regional office level and one at the project level, managing it from head office. But the point is that at an OPSCO level, this is where we interact with the regional manager and the staff. Next slide, please. In terms of the current status quo, Chairperson, we've done the detailed condition assessment with the asset register. I've already discussed the issue about the componentized aspect of the asset register. The maintenance plan is awaiting approval, endorsement by SARA. We have to interact with SARA, so that's the South African Heritage Resource Agency, on issues that we have to attend to. We're not allowed to just execute any work without their approval. And then we've introduced the computer-aided facilities management system. We've gone through the necessary training programs with members from Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, RIM, as well as DPW. And the mobilization stage of the project has been completed. The critical impact areas, which I alluded to in my first slide, indicates that we have to look at the water reticulation, the extraction and rehabilitation process. You will note that that was also very topical in the media about 6 months ago. The pre-filtration system and maintenance and upgrade thereof. The desalination plant, which we have on the system. We have some pictures that we will show you. The landscaping, which has already commenced. A lot of this work has already commenced. And then we have the necessary artisans on site, plumbers and electricians on site to deal with these issues. Just in terms of some visuals on what we've done so far for those of the members who have not been on the island. So the first one is Alpha 1, which is the seawater extraction rehabilitation. So what we found in May is the picture on the left, the before, and the progress is on the right. It's not completed yet. The rehabilitation is nearing completion. The next slide is the pre-filtration system. That's just some of the before and after progress. So the full system service, the comprehensive maintenance has been performed. There was a number of leaks, as you can see from the picture on the left, the efflorescence on the motor that has been attended to. And then the Rungsen auto filtration, head replacement, all of that has been done. And the pre-filtration pump, that's a lot of detail. I don't want to go into much of the detail. In terms of the desalination plant, that's just also the before and after pictures, but the motors have been serviced. There's the greasing and all of those other technical aspects that we're also dealing with. But just to pause slightly here, there are also, I think, 9 or 11 balls on the island So one of our tasks is also to, as quickly as possible, assess the condition of those boreholes with the view to utilizing those boreholes in addition to the desalination plant. Chair, on the next slide, which is the challenges that we've identified. These are normal challenges that we find on an island like Robben Island, but we do overcome them. We get the necessary support from our colleagues at DSAC. The weather conditions, obviously, the logistics, transportation. We had to wait 3 weeks to get a cargo vessel to take some of the equipment onto site, but we've overcome that. We get all the support from our colleagues, as I indicated. There's ongoing leaks and breakdowns that we need to attend to. And then there's a water loss issue that we need to address from the reservoirs and the reticulation system. This is one of those aspects that I said we need to bring to the attention of our Honourable Minister and our DG and yourself, Honourable Chair, and the members of the committee, that the TFM is a total facilities management contract. It does not necessarily make provision for capital upgrades. One of the biggest issues we have on the island is the reticulation of the water, where the asbestos pipes, which we know has been outlawed, has been in existence on the site since the island was constructed over, I must guess now, over 60 years ago. And those asbestos pipes, not only are they a health hazard, but they also frequently burst. So you fix an area or a leak here, and the next leak happens a few meters down the line. In addition to that is also the asbestos roof covering. When the media was there a few months ago, about 6 months ago, the two issues that they picked up on was the asbestos water reticulation system and the asbestos roof covering. So those are issues that we will take up with our Director General and our Minister, but also have discussions within the tripartite arrangement so that we can discuss this. And that also talks to the leakages and the high water demands. The next slide, recommendations to the Portfolio Committee, is to note the contents and the status quo of the report and to give you our commitment on behalf of our Minister, our Director General, the head of PMT, and ourselves, that we will continue to work with you. We will continue collaborate with you, including other partners like the Department of Forestry, Fishery and the Environment, and that we will discuss with you the need to implement other CapEx projects, and that we will follow the necessary structures and processes to do so, including what I've already indicated, which is the asbestos removal and replacement. And then, Chairperson, just to thank you for the opportunity. I hope I've been able to cover all of the items, and to also thank the team from Public Works, the project manager, the regional manager, and other staff. Thank you, Chairperson, to you and the members and our Minister and DG. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Samuels. Members, we're quite good in time. I'm going to give 1 round for each member to ask a question or make a comment, and then going to give an opportunity to respond. We will do this for at least 20 to 30 minutes. Then we will proceed with the other presentation. Honorable Jacobs and then Honorable Tetwa. Honorable Jacobs, you may proceed, and then following by Honorable Khabo.
Thank you very, very much, Chairperson, and greetings to all. Chairperson, is the connection better this time at least?
Yes, you may proceed. It's 100%.
Thank you very much. Look, I think Robben Island Museum is an issue that is very close to the hearts of every single South African that loves freedom and that loves the democracy that we currently have. And for it to be in the state that it was is despicable, and I think tramples upon the legacy of those who have fought so hard for the freedoms that we now have in this country, for the universal suffrage that we have in this country, for the rights that we have in this country. So I must say, firstly, that I'm pleased that there's at least an attempt to restore some dignity to the museum itself. But I do believe that this might be covered in a later presentation, but I will touch on it, and that is the issue of the various contracts which total up to millions and millions and millions of South African taxpayers' money. And I'm talking about contracts that are upward from 170 million, 180 million, if my numbers do serve me correctly, for periods since 2017. And I think that that is something that we must take note of and that we require action on. And I heard the minister say that he did not like the status quo of what Robben Island was and is dedicated towards rectifying the situation. And I think a warranted question then would be, what commitments can we expect in carrying out that rectification, in restoring the dignity for Robben Island Museum, and by when? When can we expect to see the full delivery of this? I understand that there is a contract that extends up until March next year, and I will hammer down on those contracts further in this meeting. But by when and how and what can we expect to see as a portfolio committee as we attempt to restore the dignity of our beloved heritage site? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Liam. Honorable Mtetwa, following by Honorable Khabo, and then following by Honorable Moletsane.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if you can see me, but I will switch off my video just for you to see better.
We can see you. That's super. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. On a lighter note, how can Robben Island be in need of water when it is surrounded by water? My questions are regarding the presentation by DPW on the Sarah Baartman issue. Here are my quick questions. First, 168 million was the budget allocated to the first contractor, which was called Lube Construction, for the completion of Sarah Baartman. This was in 2014 to 2016. The contractor did not complete the project, and yet 190 million was spent. What were the reasons that led to this escalation from 168 to 190 million? And then what did the department do to investigate the malfeasance since 2016 to date for the first contractor? The second contractor demolished the work done by the first contractor. Who approved the demolition? What was the estimated cost of the remedial work? How much was spent for the second contractor to complete this project, which is still not yet completed? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Moletsane.
Chair, I think it's Honorable Khabo first.
Honorable Khabo.
Very much, Chair.
He's gone. Oh, yeah, he is. Proceed, Honorable Khabo.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Let me not waste any much of your time and forward my greetings to everybody that is part of the meeting. Chair, look, it's a worrying factor that we are presented a report that reflects on previous years in terms of the spending pattern of the museum in particular. But in the report on its own, it's unable to indicate as to how much has been spent so far. And to a large extent, the report is unable to demonstrate how was that money spent. I'm worried because we are speaking of a tripartite agreement, but yet again, the report does not indicate if there is a coordinating structure that plays more like an oversight in terms of monitoring and evaluation of the project implementation. And I'm raising this as an area of concern, Chair, because to a large extent, we can't be, as a department, expected to play an oversight, whereas we are not actually involved in terms of monitoring and evaluation for the project implementation, Chair. I'm raising all these things because of it cannot be right that we would say that Public Works will be the implementing agent on behalf of Department of Arts and Culture. But yet again, there is no way we are holding the Department of Public Works accountable. There is no way where the Department of Public Works is reporting to us as a way of indicating the progress that they are registering on the implementation of the project. But an area of interest, a demonstration that they are seriously handling the finances of the public correctly or in line with the Public Finance Management Act. And I'm raising all of these things because of Chair. It has been in the public domain that the finances of the museum has not been handled correctly. And I'm raising this to request clarity on and around the project implementation, Chair. What is the structure that is there that deals with the coordination? How do we handle our relationship as the three departments, particularly our good selves as the people who will be able to inherit these public entities at the end of the day? I think for now, Chair, I'll pause there. If I heard you correctly, you said that the second presentation around Sarah Baartman will follow, and I would like to I'll pause there. I'll present other questions. But the other issue is around this project. The report indicates that there is a service provider that has been appointed for the next 36 months. What are those terms of references in terms of our relationship, especially on the appointment of that contractor? Can also the committee, or can it be shared with the committee in terms of which processes, in line with the supply chain management policy, have they followed to ultimately deal with the appointment of that contractor? Chair, thank you very much for now.
Thank you, Honorable Kapo. You're correct. We are going to deal with the Sarah Baartman as the second presentation. Honorable Moletswane,
Through you, Chair. Sorry, Chair. I deliberately asked that question because I heard that the minister is leaving at 11. So I wanted the minister to have a bite on that before he leaves. Then we'll open up for the presentation. But it's fine if he has already left, it's okay. We can continue with it. They will answer the question after then. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. May I ask whether the minister has left already, the Department of Public Works?
Chairperson, the minister has left.
Yes, he asked for, my apologies, Honorable Mtetwa, he asked for 11 o'clock. Honorable Moletswane, following by Honorable Sali, and then Honorable Kobane.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning, everyone who's part of the meeting. Chairperson, my first question is going to, it's just that if I will have to pack it up until Sarah Baartman presentation, it's been made. But my second question is, they talked about the loss of skills at RIM, the skills like horticulture, electricians, and plumbers. So my worry is, when are they going to fill those posts? Because we cannot now and then hire contractors who will go and do the work. Because immediately after the work is done, and we still don't have those skills, definitely one way or the other, the island is going to deteriorate, because there is no one who will be able to look after electricity, after the pipes, after the parks. So why can't they hire those skills back so that we can be able to have personnel full-time who will be dealing with those things, rather than every now and then bringing in contractors to come and work at Island? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Advocate Sali.
Okay, good morning. Assalamu alaikum, Chair, to all the members and to the Minister and everyone else that is on this platform. I'm going to put my video off. I just wanted to introduce myself and then stop the video. Otherwise, I'm having some internet problems on this side as well. Okay, firstly, with regard, I wanted to bring in the situation with regard to Sarah Baartman, and I was hoping that the Minister was still present, but I will park my questions related to Sarah Baartman after the second presentation. Robben Island Museum, it is one, and Robben Island itself is one of the places that is dear to the heart of all South Africans. And I have had the good fortune in the past year, in the different roles that I play, to visit Robben Island. But I must say, from my initial visit to the last two visits, I was very concerned about the neglect of Robben Island. Yes, there are now attempts to rectify that neglect, but it has gone far too long that this neglect of, it appears, many a heritage site happening and funds being used and abused. I just wanted to pose some questions, seeing that we are talking about, from construction companies to providers, and everybody seems to have a finger in the pie of concerning acts and how things are actually happening. Now, we know that there is the maintenance plan. We know it's crucial for Robben Island Museum and the outstanding universal value. But when did the Robben Island Museum submit the plan, and how long will it take for the approval to be granted? Then also, how are decisions made as to who gets to be the provider? And then also, what I want to know, these providers, what oversight roles is played upon these providers, and how long are these contracts for those individuals identified to perform certain maintenance with regard to the structures at Robben Island? Because I have noted now that there is major concern surrounding oversight roles and who is supposed to be playing oversight. So if those questions can be responded to, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sally. Honorable Kobane, following by Honorable Makgato. Please unmute Honorable Kobane. Honorable Kobane, we can't hear you. Will you please unmute? Let me give an opportunity to Honorable Makgato.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Proceed, Honorable Kobane.
Thank you, Chair Abshen Aye. I can hear everything about Baartman, when the large of South Africa speak about our culture heritage. The thing that went wrong is because of oversight from the beginning of the budget, beginning of uplifting that place. The money has been misled because it was no oversight to check how they are spending the money on those contracts. But the Chair, I pleased to, as the first time today to be with you guys, but in future, can you try to bring us together? Not this visual, because it's not giving us a good time in respect, Chair. In the dignity of South African culture, we have to look it down from the entire South Africa, in the ground, in the villages, where our culture has been lost because of our Department of Arts and Culture. We are not doing well. Our culture has been destroyed. It's a white elephant everywhere in the local municipality. Our people in South Africa, they have lost their culture now. Our children, they'll be in problem in the future. As the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, we have to talk about how to rebuild our culture in South Africa, because our children that have been lost were not following anymore our culture. Chair, I understand about this Baartman, but the people who was doing that development of Baartman, the government, the portfolio never do the visit. If we go for the visit, we cannot lose any money. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kobane. To respond quick to you, we are having these meetings in person due to the non-availability of officers Parliament has decided that we have every alternative meeting on a Zoom, and also it is subject to finance constraints. Honorable Makato.
I want to bring my picture, but it's not.
Honorable Makato, you may proceed.
No, I wanted to show you my face, but
It's
you can hear
fine,
me.
Honorable Makato, you can proceed in that fashion.
Let me go on. So I want to talk about the incomplete progress, lack of progress, and the progress of the project is too slow. And again, they spoke about the three contractors. How do they close the matter for the development of the project? That is my first question. My second question, how are you going to get the national funding? Because when they deliver it,
Honorable Makato, we have lost you. May I ask that you put those questions in writing on the platform? Honorable Mbele, I see your hand. That will be the last hand.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Hazel Mbele from MK. Chair, I think my participation is going to be very minimal because I've been having some challenges of network. It's taking me in and out. So I think the only thing that I can say at this moment from what I have grabbed from the presentation is the issues of those renovation, the construction that is happening on the site there. But what I was going to check for us as well as we are following money where and everything, but at the same time, we should be very careful also to check who are the beneficiaries, and also in terms of the construction itself, and make sure that we monitor who are the beneficiaries as well in terms of the procurement of that those projects. Because we will be chasing the money, but at the same time, we will be forgetting that at the same time, we need to make sure that the most disadvantaged people are really benefiting, even with the project that we are doing, those heritage sites and also those things. We need to be sure that our communities are really benefiting out of it. Maybe when we have some strategic planning at some stage, we will have to develop a system on, we'll develop a way of making sure that our people, they really benefit from these sites, not only by in the participating in the construction, but also getting there and getting those information and so forth. Maybe monitor how many people are visiting, who are those people. Do we have the children from schools that are participating in those heritage sites? Because we can't just have heritage sites that are not really making a difference, where you will find that a person from the other country knows that we have this heritage site, but our communities, they don't know. So I'm sorry that my participation is not going to be so effective because of this. And we also understand that this issue, it's not our making, but the issue of Zoom. Zoom has never been, we are not comfortable with it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give the department up until 11:30 to respond. But in light what has transpired in terms of the questions, I just want to make the following remarks because, like I've said, I personally attended to the place yesterday. I visited Robben Island yesterday. I literally took the presentation and for 3 hours extensively I went to almost every single place. And I must say that the people are actively busy. Brawl is actively busy. We don't see the same in Acacia Park, where I stay, where people come and fetch a small board for my wardrobe and come back 3 months later. They literally turn the place around, and the place, I must say, look presentable. But also safe to say that we are sitting on a platinum mine on Robben Island. There are layers and layers of history on this particular island. Members spoke to the water issue. We have a gravity water system, and on also the fact that there was no water. I just want to lay this to rest. The fact that there was no water is a bigger risk for us when it comes to the leakages and the pipe issue. So we need a complete renovation when it comes to that issue. Then the issue about maintenance. There's 2 houses there that belongs to Transnet. I think the department should take us through that, and what are the plans, and what is Transnet going to do in terms of keeping those houses, in terms of maintaining those houses. No mention has been made about the potential that we have in terms of 4 helipads that is there. And also when it comes to the Old War II barracks and a number of other things like the gun relic, World War II relics. These are things that are not being, showcased to visitors. And my personal feeling is that 3 hours is too little. It is completely too little for a visit there. There is a potential, and I know when I was serving on this committee, there was talks about, erecting a restaurant there. There is extremely high speed wind there. So there's also a potential for turbine windmills. So I think these are also things that we have to consider. I think the presenter also speak to the boat. Now, asking questions around there, that boat, that cargo boat, I was actually shocked to learn that it only travel once a month. In other words, we do have a serious challenge when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to parts, when it comes to material, cement, and all of that. So this boat are not being used, and for us, for me, I think for this committee, the cargo boat is the lifeline for the island. But here's our real issues when it comes to renovations of this nature, when it comes to preserve these heritage sites. There's a big risk on Robben Island to become a dumping site. And I don't know when this seems to deem okay to that place become a dumping site. You have contractors there. You have rubble there lying around like no one's business. So what is the story behind that? People are coming there on site, leave their rubble, they leave the island, they got paid, and our heritage become a rubble site. Eysterplaat, there is an antenna there, an old antenna of Eysterplaat lying there, replaced. There's a car there. When asked whose car is this, it belongs to a previous contractor, all fixed. Those cars and those rubble, we as a collective must get rid of it. We should not pay contractors if they are on site. If they are on site, we should not pay them if and when every single rubble is taken away there. So I really want the department to consider that. Honorable Mtetwa spoke about the water. The water also as well. When it comes to the water there, I have noticed that we are getting water from the sea, yes. But I was concerned when I see that it was low tide. How will we then be able to deal with that, with the water issue? But we might win the fight on the water issue, but we will not be able to win the fight on the repairs. And again, I saw not more than 8, when it comes to the landscape, not more than 8 I think it's 5 or 3 that I saw, but it is happening for us there. But what is important here for us is the oversight, the monitoring, and we cannot also allow when Department of Public Works is responsible for a project of this nature, and even DSAC, we cannot allow that those particular entities, like in this particular case, Robben Island, must use OPEX budgets to do what they would like to do. So we would like the department to have a look at all these challenges that we have, especially when it comes to the dumping issue, where contractors are being paid, leave the premises, and we have to witness all of these. So I would really like the department up until 11, let's say 11:35, to respond. Please note that the portfolio committee secretaries have also noted the questions, and if we are not done in that time, we would like to appeal to you to do so in writing. So I'll give the department an opportunity to respond to the concerns and to the questions raised by honorable members.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will start with the responses, and then I'll ask Mr. Samuels just to add in, Chairperson, if there are any things that are necessary. Thank you very much, members. I think this is not the last time we're meeting the committee. I think I want to say that up front. So whatever that we say, there will be a need also to provide comprehensive responses in writing to the secretary of the committee so that members are given information that is clear. Let me start with Honorable Jacobs. Thanks, Honorable Jacobs, for what you've raised in terms of what commitments that can be expected. I think let me just write on the Minister's opening remarks to say that there is a meeting between Minister Mackenzie and Minister McPherson to discuss the way forward around the strategy going forward. Just one thing that is made as a commitment is to look at the sustained funding option, which is talking to UNESCO as an example, where we're going to look at ensuring that the sustained funding, as just the chairperson just said now, that we need to look at the proper budget instead of stealing from the normal budget or operating budget of the departments. So I think that's one area that I'll write and say to you that once they've met, I think the committee will have a clear picture and a clear approach on how we're going to move forward in restoring, as you said, Honorable Jacobs, the dignity of our people around the facility. And then on the lighter note, Honorable Mtetwa raised the question around the issue of why there's a need of water when the island is surrounded with water. Maybe let me also answer, Chairperson, on a lighter note. That water surrounding the island is for the fish and the abalone, not for human consumption. So the reason why there's need for water, we have what we call a desalination plant, literally treating that salted water for human consumption and also for reticulation in respect of waste that could be reticulated around by our visitors who come and leave the island from time to time. And Honorable Khabo, I think you are correct. There is in the presentation, Chairperson, there's absence of the budget. And I think it's one area that I think the committee needs to be afforded the clear picture around how much these activities are costing the taxpayers, and also how they've been spent, etc., etc. Maybe let me combine that with to say that it will be provided, Chairperson, in respect of that. And then Honorable Mamulatsane, the lack of skills, I do believe that you will recall that the island used to run as an operation by the apartheid state, where there were inmates and there were people who were working there around all those 92 properties. So obviously these skills were attached to the activities that were there. So since it became now your heritage site, there's been less and less need to, if I may say, have a full complement of staff that deals with this. But I think the Honorable is correct to say maybe there might be a need, instead of us really considering putting too much on constructors, maybe there might be a requirement of having a minimal staff complement that really keeps the island going. I think we're going to look at that and also get the guidance from the committee chairperson as per Ms. Honorable Moletsane's indication. Honorable Advocate Sally raises that she visited twice, and truly so, she's correct that there's been quite a lot of neglect for long. And then she raised the question, how are the decisions made to get service providers? I think with government, Honorable Sally and honorable members, we use the PFMA prescripts as a department to arrive at that decision of appointing. And then who plays the oversight role on the contractors? I think the way we are structured currently, Chair, I want to say that our regional office, which would be like your provincial oversight unit led by the regional manager, Ms. Pengler, has got people that are responsible for ensuring at a level of implementation of this contract to see and verify the work that has been done through our regional office based in Custom House. So they work with facilities management team to do that kind of oversight, but Ricky will add at the end of the day in respect of the other plan. Now, the issue raised by Honorable Kobane, I will assume that the chairperson and the committee will take that as a committee to address what is raised, because I do believe it's quite very valid points that is raising to make sure that all other heritage sites are taken care of. And then Honorable Mpele raises the issue of, to what extent are these renovations or repairs benefiting our communities? Maybe I think it will be important for us to raise in the current structure of the contract, to what extent are we using subcontractors from the area around this thing of empowerment. And then Chairperson, the last points that you've made, I do take there's a need to really deal with this challenge of waste management, which is actually crippling the island. In other words, it's not a dumping site per se. So I just want to say, Chair, maybe also on my own to say that one of the things maybe the committee may want also to consider as we engage these two principles is the issue of also ensuring the issue of security, Chair. I think I want to raise it because at some point, Honorable Sally, when we arrived in Ireland, we found people who have been arrested who were doing abalone piracy in the island. So it's actually, island is an area where you've got a lot of abalone. So the criminals or the pirates that comes as armed as whatever you can think of, they come there to actually take these abalones and illegally so. So I think it's one area that I think, Chair, as we address the issues of waste management and look at the budget options, considering also the issue of the wind available to see how, to what extent can you look at turbines, wind turbines, etc., etc. I think, Chair, we will be guided by the committee going forward. Maybe, Chair, before I close, let me allow Mr. Samuels to summarize, because we've got 2 minutes, just to indicate the gaps, especially on the budget. How much are these things costing us? And then, Chair, to say that we will prepare a formal response in all the questions so that the committee can be able to grab everything, because I know time is limited to grab everything shortly. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. If you will allow me then to proceed.
Please proceed.
I'm not necessarily going to paraphrase what the DG has indicated, just to touch on a few of the issues. Just with regards to, just to allay the fears of Honorable Jacobs. So what we're doing differently on this project, we're not using an implementing agent as we did in the past. The implementing agent, we normally pay between 6 and 10% of the fees. In the past, Koha was used. In this case, we're using Public Works is the custodian and the operator of the TFM contract. In addition to that, I think it's important, and the members would also be very interested to know that we're using a young group of female and male consultants, interns within the professional environment. They prepare the terms of reference. They assist us, they visit us, visit the site with Advocate Sharma to do the oversight and to do the necessary site inspections on a regular basis. With respect to the governance issues, we did present on that earlier, but I think it's also important to note, Honorable Khabo, that we are guided by Giyama, and as the custodian and owner of the asset, we execute our mandate in terms of Giyama, which is the Government Immovable Asset Management Act, as well as the tripartite agreement that we agreed to earlier. With regards to the processes with procurement, so we followed a two-stage process. We had a tender panel, and after the tender panel, which was the shortlisting process, we then went out to tender again for the actual contract. So we followed 100% Section 217 of the PF of the Constitution. We followed the Public Finance Management Act and the Supply Chain Management Framework. And the tender was correctly advertised, evaluated, and adjudicated, and the award was made. With respect to the question of Honorable Molotane, I think what's important to note is that we are incorporating youth as well as women and male, especially Black service providers on site, specifically when it comes to the landscaping issues, as well as the waste management. And then Advocate Saleh, Assalamu alaikum to you. With regards to the one question that the DG didn't touch on, I think what's important on this project is the oversight role by DPWI. So we play oversight ourselves. We don't have consultants. We do it ourselves. And the aspect of single point accountability is very important on this project. So we hold the service provider accountable. I apologize for using the word I, but we hold our project managers accountable. So that single point of accountability carry through. The question on the beneficiaries, I've already answered that. But I think just to supplement, there is the Bluestone Quarry, which is well known to all of us. We've seen the videos when some of us were not born, when our father, Tata Mandela, used to be at the Bluestone Quarry having to chop those stones. There are elements of work that needs to be done there, as well as landscaping. And there we will, I think, report to the committee. As the DG said, this is not the first time we're reporting to you on how we incorporate other people into some of the work that needs to be done there. And then lastly, Chair, we want to thank you for your progressive comments. We really do appreciate that you spend so much time on the island. Some of the information that you shared with us, to me, it's also news. I wasn't aware of the Transnet house. I thought it was all our houses, but we will investigate. The helipads is something that we need to also look at. The issue about the relics and the gun and the old war cannons and things that are there are part of the TOR for the restoration, but we will report to you on that. We will take up the issue of the cargo boat with our partners, Department of Forestry and Fisheries, DSAC and RIM. And then I think the point that you're raising about the rubble, it might sound like, how can there be rubble on the site? But you are correct, Chairperson. Included in all our contracts is the element of site clearing or clearing the site once the work is done. I think we've dropped the ball there in some of our projects where we've allowed contractors to leave the site without taking their rubble with them. But what we've done on this project, we've included that, or we will, where it's not included, make sure that it's taken care of and provision is made. And then issue about oversight, you've also stressed. But I think between the DG and myself, we've covered all the questions. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. Members, we are going to move to the second part of it, but before we go there, I forgot to mention the swimming pool. Swimming pool is completely empty, and also the issue pertaining to the Bluestone Quarry. It has quite a lot of potential and rich history. Once again, I am sitting at Parliament at this point in time in my office, And a stone throw away from here, I believe that the church from us here around the corner are also being built by that bluestone. So, and perhaps with the visits, I know I've been there plenty of times before, perhaps with these kinds of visits, we should consider the duration and perhaps also like, you know, where people walk. The Bluestone Quarry is quite far, you know, to drive, and very interesting to me was the first place of origin where those that has been incarcerated been held. I see the photos is also a little bit depleted there, but like I've said, there is really rich history, and it warrants a sound appetite and a political will, you know, for every single stakeholder and role player to do something so that this particular heritage of us may also become something that is self-sustainable with the potential it have. Honorable Khabo, we are running out of time pertaining to the issue on this. Unless it is very urgent, I will allow you to raise your issue.
No, thank you very much, Chair, and apologies for taking that approach. I think, Chair, one must just submit his disappointments in relation to the response that we have received. And to a large extent, we must put it across to our counterparts that preferably they must give us a written response on all issues that we have raised. Because in all honesty, Chair, there's nothing that in terms of the response that has carried weight, particularly on issues that we have raised. I wanted to indicate that part because I heard the DG and the other members saying that they have covered all the questions. They were very selective in dealing with our questions. I would be requesting that we get a written response within at least 7 days, Chair. But also, it's quite dangerous for us to conclude that everything is running smoothly when we have not been to that side. The impression that has been created, it's in contradiction with what we know of the truth about that institution, Chair. That is one of the things that I wanted to raise. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Honorable Khabo. I agree with you, but it is upon us, you know, after we receive these responses, as we as a committee decided representing South Africa in this particular case, the heritage, we have to do our oversight. And like I've said, I decided to go there and see for myself, to have that kind of approach. And should all of these falls on deaf ear, we will definitely know to what extent and how we will be able to elevate this. I will now call upon DPWI to address us on the issue of the Sarah Baartman project.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I'm not sure if the DG for DSAC is still connected. Chair, as you might appreciate, the Sarah Baartman presentation, as the DG said earlier, it's a joint presentation. So from our side, Chair, we will get Mr. Vasna Hlabangwane to connect from Pretoria to take us through, obviously, I think jointly with an internal Department of Arts and Culture representative. They need to take us through the presentation. Through you, Chair, Mr. Vasna, can you connect?
Yeah, I just want to stress there's this thing of marriage within community of property. So if you are taking responsibility for this presentation, you must take full responsibility together when action needed to be taken.
Chairperson, thank you very much for your guidance. I think this marriage of community of property, we're going to take full responsibility together as Public Works and Department of Arts and Culture. Obviously, with the agreement of the DG, although she's not made a comment, can you allow Mr. Hlabangwane to take the committee through around the project, because I know there's quite a lot of serious issues that needs to be addressed in. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. Greetings to the Honorable Chair, and also the members and colleagues. Thanks that someone will be flighting the presentation. As indicated, my name is Vasnar Hlabangwane. I'm just going to take you through this joint presentation. There will be areas, of course, that will be providing emphasis that we are presenting before the committee as management, which may actually provide further clarity on what's written on the presentation. In terms of the background, Honorable Chair, we are dealing with the project called Baartman Center of Remembrance, which of course had a specific scope to be addressed. That particular scope ranged from the construction of classrooms to the multipurpose hall, reading room, gatehouse, dormitories, reception area, living heritage restaurant, pump house, including the upgrade of the road R331 and the museum and the roadway to the burial site where Sarah Baartman is buried. What was the reason why this particular project was conceptualized? This was in memory and research of the legacy of Sarah Baartman, and also in the same memory and research of the history and the legacy of the Khoi and San communities. This particular project, Honorable Chair, it's located in the place called Hanki in Kocha local municipality, in the Sarah Baartman District Municipality, Eastern Cape. And of course, you will recall that this particular project is sponsored by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. And I need also to emphasize that this particular project is implemented currently by Development Bank of South Africa on behalf of Public Works and Department of Arts and Culture. And I need also to indicate, Honorable Chair, that in terms of the background, as an overview, we have got two projects or two contracts that were involved on this project. And I'm going to talk to those particular ones, and later on I'll talk about the third one. Let me start with this particular one, which is the first contract. The first contract, of course, commenced around April 2014. This project was intended to be a 30-month contract. And of course, it had anticipated completion date contractually of October 2016. And this project or contract was awarded to a grade 9 company in the name of Lube Construction. And the contract amount was about 168 million, inclusive of VAT. What are the circumstances that transpired on this particular contract? This particular contract, Honorable Chair, started very well at the beginning. However, they were confronted with a lot of challenges, but the challenges range from slow progress on site and also the community uprising that were there, which actually impacted negatively on the project, where the project eventually came to a standstill. And also, other addition is that the contractor in this particular contract could not purchase material from the local suppliers. The rates that were in the BOQ were higher, were lower than what actually the local suppliers were offering. That made it impossible for this particular contract to perform in that area. Then what transpired is that the contractor opted to assign the contract to another local grade 9 company. The assignment these days, we understand in the terminology called seeding or cession, but this is what we call assignment in terms of the legal terminology. The grade 9 company that actually accepted this assignment was in the name of Transtract Building and Civil Contractors. This is the company that I said is a second contractor earlier on. Let me also indicate that this particular company, when they accepted the assignment contract, they requested 11-month or 10 months extension of time in order for them to complete this particular project, because the time that was remaining was actually less or little to complete the remaining scope. And I need to emphasize again, Honorable Chair, that the contract value that Transtract was committed to was still the very same, because what happened in the assignment, you're actually getting into the shoes of the outgoing contract. In other words, the terms and conditions are still the same. The only variance at that particular time was the issue of the extension of time, which when it was weighed, it was much better than actually terminating and actually appointing a new service provider with the new rates. The value was going to be higher, which means the state was going to fork out a lot in terms of the process. The developments that actually came about on this contract, on the second contractor, as I indicated, the completion date in terms of that extension of time was actually August 28, 2020. And as I've indicated there, the financial implication remained the same in terms of the contract amount. However, the expenditure escalated. How did it escalate? It escalated in terms of the CPAP and also the preliminaries in general that are associated with the approved extension of times that were there, including the other variation orders that were approved in terms of the need of that particular project. Then what transpired with this particular second contractor? This second contractor, being Transtract, also progressed very well from the onset. However, there were many discoveries that actually became prevalent during the construction of this particular phase or this contract. First issue was the discovery of the poor quality of work that required remedial works, which was deemed to have been completed by the previous actually company called actually Lube. So these actually pose a lot of challenges to the incoming contractor, because that particular work, this new incoming person is to take a full responsibility in terms of the rectification of those particular work. And also other area was actually the appointment of the art coordinator and that increase in the artwork cost, which was not anticipated from the beginning, which means it took the cost of this particular project higher. The other issue that we're confronted with, which were many factors or reasons that actually prevailed around this area, was the delays in the payment of the interim progress payments towards this particular contractor, which led to the stoppages of the work by this contractor because of this particular late payments. Those actually stoppages, some of them led to termination and also coming back after the negotiations. Some of the issues, Honorable Chair, were the delays due to the COVID-19 lockdown, which actually was well-known in the country and the world. Some of the issues were inclement weather and the termination of the contract, as I indicated earlier. The issue of the community unrest and taxi strikes also affected this particular contract beyond that one, the term of Lube. The issue of course, of the annual shutdown period did also have the effect in terms of the duration of the project. What is more significant on this particular contract, Honorable Chair, is the non and the late payment of the claims, because the contractor had even at some point to lay down or lay some of the labor and management staff to be off the site because he could not afford to pay them. And some of the subcontractors, even after honoring the payments, could not even come back to site because they already suspended their services. And after suspending their services, they could not actually sit and fold their arms. They have to find some work elsewhere. So even when they are being called to come back, they were not easily available. Further to emphasize on the issue of the 9 payments, Honorable Chair, is that the delay in the payment certificate became prevalent at a particular time, around about July 2021, when these particular certificates, which we call certificate number 1 and 2, I want to be very specific on that. These particular certificates were totaling to 3.1 million, and these certificates could not be paid on time due to various actually issues, which actually were prevalent at that particular time. And based on these, the contractor actually said, no, the progress on site is highly affected, and I'm not going to go back to site, I'm terminating. But we indicated that the payment is in the system. Indeed, it shows that it will be paid. The contractor indeed could not actually be persuaded to actually change their position, citing certain issues that still were thorn of areas that required further attention. That is the issue that I've indicated, issue of the remedial works, and some of the issues were actually extensions of time. So these were actually the major issues that confronted us. But after those particular terminations, the Department of Public Works, what could only do was to provide actually security, company to secure the work and the material that was on site to ensure that we actually retain the asset in terms of its original value that we have. So want also to indicate, Chair, that during that particular stoppage period, both Public Works and DSAC met together to find a way in terms of ensuring that the project actually gets resuscitated. So what are those interventions that both departments actually put in place? And I need to indicate that this particular matter was actually escalated to the both executives, and there were engagements in terms of the challenges that actually were confronting this project. To an extent that ministerial engagements were in place to monitor the progress. Both parties also agreed that the project should be allocated to implementing agent than actually than Public Works. Let me also indicate that at the engagement between the two executives, both executives agreed that these particular projects need to be taken back to DSAC. And indeed, the executive of Public Works authorized that DSAC should actually manage this particular project. And when that particular process has been concluded, DSAC came back to Public Works to say, after actually a lengthy period of calls, indicating that we are unable to take the project forward. Can you take this particular project? However, it should not be you, Public Works, executing this project. We actually request that DBSA gets involved so that DBSA could play a central role. We should be co-managing them together with you. And that particular process indeed was done, and DBSA had to take over in making sure that those particular principles are actually executed. Also, I need to indicate that, as indicated by the chair at the beginning, the Auditor General made specific recommendations to both departments, particularly to improve monitoring and oversight of the project. And based on those particular recommendations, both departments
came to agreement and implemented the following two issues. They drafted and signed a co-management agreement. And this co-management agreement was between these two departments. They further drafted and co-signed the terms of reference for the establishment of the Joint Project Steering Committee to ensure the full accountability by all parties in terms of their respective functions or roles. And here I need to also to indicate the DSAC's interventions. Through the minister's engagements, of course, Public Works was required to develop a roadmap that will lead towards the resumption of the project. Amongst others, the following were included. That is the finalization of the projects to DBSA, which I've alluded to earlier on, and finalization of the seeding of the consultants. Why the seeding of the consultants? Because these consultants were appointed by Public Works, so legally they were under the management of Public Works. Therefore, we need to seed them to DBSA so that DBSA can actually manage and take corrective action when necessary at their level. And furthermore, was the appointment of the contractor to complete the works. What is the current project status or contractual details? This is in terms of now the third contractor. The third contractor is in the name of MSK Construction, and this particular contractor was awarded this project around 83 million. And in terms of this current project, is supposed to be completed on the 31st of March 2025. And the current progress as we speak, Honorable Chair, we're talking about 14%. In terms of the planned progress, supposed to be 37. This is based on actually the program that was actually provided at the beginning of the project. But in terms of the time lapse, it's about 40%. So we're looking at 40% versus the 14% progress. So basically the project is far behind the schedule. The expenditure as well.
No, coffee.
Can I proceed, Chair?
Yes, proceed.
The expenditure to date is about 7.5%. And I need to mention that we have only issued one certificate. The second certificate is in process. So effectively for the whole process, for the whole duration, we have managed to issue 2 payment certificates to the contractor in terms of the conditions of the contract. Furthermore, progressing in terms of the progress on the presentation, let me also indicate that how this particular project was issued to Development Bank of Southern Africa for execution, being the third contractor. DBSA accepted the project, and this particular process was concluded around July 2023. Following this particular long process that I have indicated actually before. In terms of the normal process, of course, the consultants have actually to do what we call assessment, which is a due diligence of the scope that is remaining in totality to deem the project complete. And they did that particular work. They even provided the estimate. And the estimate, of course, at that particular time was about 109 million. It's a scope that is remaining. In effect, also, Chair, the DBSA did move promptly to try and appoint a contractor using their own panel. And it was found that in terms of the responsiveness of that particular market, the response was so poor. Then they have to go out again to tender, but using the open bidding process where they were able to attract actually many service providers. And indeed, they were able to identify a responsive bidder, whom, of course, is a bidder that I have referred to earlier. And that appointment was issued around 15th of January. 2024, and the site was handed over on the 21st of February. And in terms of this particular project, unlike the previous ones, there was actually a process of engaging this contractor with the local community so that the local community does not actually give a lot of issues and accept the contractor in a very positive manner. And I need to indicate again that this is a third contractor, as I've indicated. But in terms of this particular slide, Honorable Chair, is that this particular contractor that actually was appointed, it took long to even submit what we call a price BOQ, or bills of quantities. These bills of quantities, why was it actually so important, is because any work that is being carried out, it has to be measured against that BOQ in terms of the quantity and in terms of the rates. So in that effect, any work that is completed, we need to go and check what is the rate that is in the bill, what are the quantities, and actually be able to pay this contractor. However, the contractor could not produce this particular document, which made the work difficult for the professional team. But eventually, after serious engagement, this particular service provider was able to submit this particular BOQ, but it was really a mission. And of course, I need also to indicate that the budget was actually adequately provided by actually DSAC. And in terms of this financial year, 65 million for 2025 financial year was actually allocated. In terms of the next financial year, we'll be looking at the MTF actually approach. In terms of the next slide, notice of default by the employer. Here, Honorable Chair, in effect, I need to summarize the two slides instead of going verbatim word per word on it. In terms of this particular slide, there is a default that is actually a bone of contention or the issue that is at hand. What transpired here, Honorable Chair, the professional team issued the second payment certificate on the 9th of July. When they issued this particular payment on the 9th of July 2024, in terms of the condition of contract, it's supposed to be payable within 21 days. Effectively, we were supposed to have paid this contractor on the 30th of July 2024. And by 30th of July 2024, payment was not effected to the contract. Then the contractor, on the 19th of August, which is 19 days after the expiry of that particular duration or contractual period of should have paid the contractor, he issued a notice to say, the employer, you are in default. You should have paid me, and I'm opting to issue you a notice of you rectifying this particular non-payment. And in terms of the condition of contract, you're supposed to correct it within 10 days. If you don't correct it, I'm opting to terminate the contract. You remember, in terms of the default on this contract, you've got only two options, either terminate or claim interest. So the contractor had a choice, but the contractor chose that he needs to issue a notice for termination if the employer does not pay. So as I indicated, on the 19th of August, indeed it was issued, 10 days, which was supposed to expire on the 29th. Nothing happened. So the contractor on the 29th of August realized that, oh, nothing has actually come forth. This is my good opportunity now to move out. Then he actually now exited the contract on the basis of the default. However, I need to indicate that the formal letter has already been received by Development Bank of South Africa, where the contractor said he's actually opting out because we did not actually manage to pay him on time. I need also to indicate that in terms of the payment that is in dispute, it's a payment that is about to the tune of about 2.3 million, just under correction. And that particular payment in terms of the process that we have been advised, it should be paid anytime actually next week, if not this week. So this particular information is the one that actually currently has created a problem where we don't have a contractor as we speak. The next step that we have, if indeed DBSA is confirming and accepting that particular termination, which means we have to make sure that the site is well secured and a plan or project execution plan is in place to procure another services. So that is the shortest of this particular presentation, Honorable Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, DPW.
Yeah.
With no further ado, I'm going to give an opportunity to Honorable Mbele, following by Honorable Mtetwa, then Honorable Jacobs, following by Honorable Sali. I see a hand in the ministry there.
Yeah, sorry, Chair, maybe before you take the questions, I missed out to indicate, Chair, that we do have DBSA in the meeting, just in the event that they were going to make comments, but I think the Chair will give us guidance in the event they need to be asked any question. They are also here in the meeting, Chairperson. Thank you.
I was wondering, I only see two of DPWI's representative. I think members we'll take that slot in that line. But before we are going to ask those questions, I think it will just be fair to give DBSA as an implementing agent an opportunity to also, you know, pour some light on this whole debacle. I have seen you, Honorable Kabo. You will be after Honorable Sali. DBSA, welcome to the meeting, and thanks for being present. It is and was of great concern for you to be present. You may proceed if any input from your side, DBSA.
It's Mr. Chwena Rampele. He's the Group Executive for Infrastructure Delivery. If you can just comment. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Continue, Mr. Rampele.
Honorable Chair, let me salute you and the members of the committee and Minister and the team. So I think from our side, we just want to confirm that as the DPW has outlined, the situation is as is. We did, of course, just to confirm that we received the letter of termination, and we are in the process of dealing with that particular, responding to that letter. And obviously we need to look at it with the joint steering committee to say if we have to really look back in terms of the performance so far and what the contractor is indicating. You can see from the letter that the contractor is not necessarily actually willing to go back. So I think what it does is for us to start processing a way of beginning to ensure that we assist again in terms of procuring, the right contractor to move forward in terms of this project. So I think, Chief, that would be basically the issue to just confirm. But I think it's also for us to look at matters that relates to solving this issue around the payments, so that at least we are able to ensure that we enable this contract to move more faster. And those are some of the issues that I think we need to take stock of, saying what would have contributed to this situation. And for us, we're working very well with the department and the two departments to try and resolve and speedily ensure that we inaugurate a new contractor if we then get the endorsement to accept the termination. Chair, I'll just briefly say that so far. So nothing much from our side. I think we made an input into the presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rampele. Honorable members, you may proceed in that sequence. After Honorable Gabo will be Honorable Makgato. Please proceed, Honorable Mbele. Unmute, Honorable Mbele, unmute.
Okay. You also want to see my face, Chair?
No, it's fine. You are audible. You may proceed, Honorable Mbele.
Oh, because I know you miss me a lot, Shane. Now, the first question that I'm going to
Honorable Mbele, we are losing you. We are losing you, Honorable Mbele. Perhaps move a little.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Chair, I'm just looking at the issue of the seating of this project when it's given to almost 3 contractors. Now, on that issue, I would like to check.
Sure, Honorable Mbele, my apologies. We are losing you. If you can move to another place.
With the department. Can you hear me? Oh God. Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, can you move to another place? We can't hear you. Your signal and bandwidth it's terrible.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, let me give Honorable Mteto an opportunity while Honorable Mbele tried to move to a place where signal is better. Honorable Mtetwa.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe let me start by commending DPWI for the professional sitting. I've noticed we are in the creative space, and one of the things that we do to our best ability is when we present ourselves either in performances, we want to look good. So I want to commend them. They look very good and professionally stationed with their camera fixed and audible in everything that they say we can hear. Thank you for that. But be that as it may, Chairperson, I'm really disheartened. You know, the report after each and every report seeks to justify what is happening moving forward as if it is business as usual. In the report, there's nothing that points at to say because of so-and-so's inability to manage a particular thing, we ended up having to appoint this. This is what had cost the department or government or public funds to move from one contractor to another. I mean, just now, DPSA says that we are working together. Working together to do what? To appoint contractors after contractors. Nobody talks about the feasible development around the structure that needs to be built. But monies are demanded. Even those that are contracted, they have a decency of demanding payments, but no one says this is what they had already done after they were procured. You know, there's this tendency of government. You know, one time, I think it was in 2009, former President Jacob Zuma called all the DGs, all the decision makers of government, and he made an example that if you were to put here, you were to get bread from the same bakery, but branded differently. The two breads, they would branded differently, one from government and one from private sector. Which one would be bought? And people said private sector, and he asked why. We have created a situation where people generally, they don't expect anything of quality from government because of the people who are working who are not held accountable. I need to hear in the presentation that so-and-so because of non-payment, because it's somebody who was supposed to action that payment but didn't pay. Now DPSA or whoever must pay 2-point-something million after the contracted company has said we are terminating. So you are paying for nothing. You are paying for them to exit, and you want to find a new strategy to appoint another. I think this project must be stopped, Chairperson. This is one project where people must be called by name to say you were responsible of the management of this process. This process did not happen. Give us the account of that. And people should really give account. These reports that talks about we have done this, we have signed the contract. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear that we have put the roof, we have put windows. Because that's what the money is for. It's not to move from one contractor to another contractor. I'm not hearing anything or anyone saying so-and-so was held accountable, and as a result, he is behind bars as we speak. Nobody talks about that. And yet government has so many laws and regulations that it puts that in most cases, people who are dearly needing these funds to do something tangible to change people's lives, they are always told that there's no budget. Yet where there's money availed, people talk about how we moved from one contract to another. We are currently dealing with exit strategy. You are paying for exit strategy. Is that what you want to come and tell us here in the committee, that you are paying for exit strategy? You're not talking about any pillar that has been put during this period of this appointment of this, the fourth contract or the third contractor that has now terminated. What did that contractor do? What is it paid for? And who was supposed to pay? You know, I was at the hotline, President Jacob Zuma's hotline. One of the things that we're dealing with, Chairperson, was the non-payment, the late payment by government that kills many companies. That when we are encouraging people to be entrepreneurs, we are the ones who are killing those companies because we don't pay them on time. Yet there are rules and regulations that are there. And people who have been doing that are still in their jobs even today. Not with private sector. You wouldn't have that situation with private sector. You get fired if you don't do your work. We can't be paying, government can't be, or public can't be paying for people to stay in their jobs when they are not doing their jobs. And forever, it is rectification. I think this must stop, Chairperson. I don't even know what to ask, honestly.
May the follow speaker take the podium.
Chairperson, Councillor Makgato.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for the presentation. The allocation and the of the project is 100% correct. But when we go to the intervention, there are some of the finalization. The finalization on allocation of the project is still a challenge. If you still look at the project, the professional team issued the certificate on the 9th of July, but still on the 30th of July, payment was not given until the contractor tried to take another termination. Now, I just want to check from the researchers or the contractor took a decision to terminate, and then the contractors doesn't have challenges in the company after all the reschedule of work. So I just want to check with them, for these 3 contractors, they don't have challenges now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Makato. May the next speaker proceed.
Chairperson, I believe that was me. Thank you very
Proceed,
much.
Honorable Jacobs.
Honorable Chairperson, this is a very sensitive issue for me, because it speaks to a deeper issue that we find in South Africa and how South Africa tells its history and who is telling that history. It speaks to a very deep challenge about what is it that we remember and how do we remember this history. So when I look at something like the Sarah Baartman Center for Remembrance, I look at the promises that have been made to that community, where hundreds of millions have been spent on this center and we are yet to see its completion. I mean, we are sitting with 37% baseline completion rate. In this day and age, even under the previous education system, that is a fail. That is a deep, deep fail. And it is a deeper reflection of something that is very problematic here, because I'm going to carry on in that this center is also supposed to house, it is supposed to house traditional gatherings. It is supposed to house the likes of the Khoi and San people within the region, within the area, and allow them to carry out various functions from that center. But because of the incompetence that has been exhibited in the implementation of finally completing this center, these people are being forced to have their functions in school halls. And I do not think that in South Africa, that in this day and age, that we ought to allow that we ought to have that, because it speaks to a deeper disrespect for the history of colored people in South Africa, for the history of Khoi people in South Africa, and for the history of San people in South Africa. Because this center is a beacon, is supposed to be a beacon of hope for that history, for a history that isn't told, for a history that isn't on display, for a history that ought to matter, but it seems like in this day and age, it does not matter. So, Honorable Chairperson, I'm disheartened and I'm disgruntled with what I'm seeing here, because it is almost as if these departments have their knees on the necks of the history of colored people, of the history of Khoi people, of the history of San people in this country. And it is time that this departments get off our necks. Fundamentally, we cannot have this anymore. We must ensure that our history is indefinitely protected and remembered in a way that instills dignity. And that is why today I would like to urge the Minister of Public Works and the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, given the fact that we have the facts on the table, that we have monies that have been spent, and that we have a center that is incomplete, to conduct oversight, to physically go to the Sarah Baartman Center for Remembrance, to ensure and to take a look at what is actually going on, to see if the money of the people of the Republic of South Africa is being spent in a way that instills dignity. Because I can tell you, you're going to be shocked. We are going to be very, 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 very shocked. And we are going to be even more heartbroken with what is going on there. Honorable Chairperson, just in closing of what I wanted to say, and this is actually something that I want to extend to the department, is that they take this plea very seriously, to go and conduct oversight and to go to the Center for Remembrance, because this can no longer carry on as it has been going on previously. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, please indulge me. As you are well aware, this is close to my heart and it's a matter that I've raised on several occasions. The Sarah Baartman Center, listening to the beautiful plans for the legacy of Sarah Baartman and the history of the Khoi and Sand, it would warm one's heart to know that there was all this beautiful intentions for Sarah Baartman and as well as for the community and for South Africa at large. 10 years later, I'm appalled as to the reasons provided as to why a project which was supposed to be completed in 2016 remains unresolved, and the amount of issues. Where are the contracts with the relevant construction companies that has been involved? We need insight to the actual contracts. What does these contracts stipulate? Now we are listening to a situation where a construction company has ceded the contract from one to the other. What consultation was done? Was the department aware of the ceding? Was there any other contracts and agreements signed? How can we sit here today without these contracts before us? What steps has been taken in ensuring investigation and accountability of the construction company of all relevant officials responsible for the wasteful and irregular expenditure, the shoddy work, incomplete work? Where is the accountability? It is lacking. Is it a norm to allow this type of abuse of taxpayers' money? In 2023, we heard after 9 years, the center was to be completed, and that was after a visit by the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture. A resident spoke out on being tired of hearing about new contractors and that each contractors get a cut of money from these relevant entities. The community wants the center to be completed. South Africa wants the center to be completed. This portfolio will have to do physical oversight, and the department has to do physical oversight. Exploitation of our people needs to stop. Honorable Chair, give me a second. Could the department, DPWI, give us a comprehensive detail on the dispute between DPWI and the contractor? One of the reasons why the contractor did not complete this project was its inability to pay suppliers and subcontractors on time. Consulting engineers also suspended its services. Did the Department of Sports, Art and Culture do due diligence to look at the credibility and financial viability of all these contractors? Were there no penalties imposed on these companies for poor performance and their failure to meet deadlines? Let's go further. We note a third contractor pulled out of the project after issuing, a notice of default or termination. Surely this was a risk. Was the red flags not seen? Then, sorry, Chair. When was it agreed that the second contractor will demolish the work of the first contractor? I've heard no mention of this in this particular meeting. Was this done prior or after submitting a quotation of completing the job? Was this part of the initial agreement that there would be a demolition before the second contractor was awarded a tender? What were the terms and the conditions? Honorable Chair, I listened to this presentation today. I'm very concerned, and something just doesn't gel with me and doesn't sound right. I'm actually wondering if there should not be a full investigation be done with regard to all these contractors, all these officials, as to actually what is happening. We're going to be sitting with a fourth contractor. Was the department, as the find of this project, part of the decision that there should be demolition of the works? I just want us to keep this in mind. And then what was the reasons, the actual reasons of termination, and was it communicated to the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture? Honorable Chair, I am left baffled with the amount of gaps in this particular matter. And indeed, I feel that this portfolio needs to do an oversight visit at this particular center to see exactly where it's at, and that a regular visit to the center needs to be done, and a regular report needs to be provided every 3 months on how far the center is, because all I'm seeing is money being pumped in left, right, and center into this particular project and no finalization. Has this center become a cash cow for construction workers and officials. I'm very concerned and I feel that a further investigation is required. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Khabo, following by Honourable Mbele. I see she's back. Honourable Khabo.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much. Let me also forward my greetings to the members of the department or officials from the department. Chair, one would have to start by noting the report and, of course, also raising his dissatisfaction or disappointment on the type of leadership that we have in that department, especially in relation to their problem-solving skill. To a large extent, from where I'm sitting, Chair, the leadership of that department is highly under question of both DBSA, including the Department of Public Works. And I've got reasons to say this, Chair. And part of the reasons is this one. At the back of our mind, as and when we are deliberating on this matter, we must not forget that it's almost 10 years ever since these constructions have started. And in this period of 10 years, we have moved from one contractor to the third contractor. And in between, we have been unable to deal with the root cause of the actual problems that leads to the delay of the completion of the project. And this boils back to the issue of leadership management. You see, Chair, I fully agree with Honorable Eugene that we can't be excited that we are moving from one contractor to the other without us being given a proper indication as to how is this money being spent of the public, Chair. And I'm raising all of this because of before we can deal with any other issue, Chair, I think DBSA must be able to demonstrate or be able to clarify us as to whether they have any capacity of handling particularly the process of payment moving forward. I mean, it was given an indication that the recent contractor is moving out of sight precisely because of the lack of payment from the side of DBSA. And would want to get an understanding as a committee as to who was held accountable for failure of payment, Chairperson. And we also want to get clarity as to what are the disciplinary measures that has been instituted against those officials. You see, it cannot be correct that the person has failed to fulfill his or her responsibilities, and yet again, we are not told of any disciplinary measures instituted as a way of applying consequence management, Chair. The other issue that I would want to raise with the department, in particular Public Works, Chair, I want to check with them as to whether do they have a project management unit. And in the process of appointing the 3 contractors, what were the main issues that were identified? What were the mitigating strategies that their internal contract management unit managed to present as a way of dealing with the problem? Chair, I'm raising all of these things because we need more clarity. We can't just be excited on appointing the 3rd contractor. Amongst other things that we need to take into consideration is the fact that we have spent more than enough millions on this project, Chair. And I would want to propose that before we could even move to the appointment of the 4th contractor, Chair, must first and foremost put everything on standstill. And it must not be understood as us being counterposed or us delaying progress. It cannot be that we'll continuously spend money on this project without understanding this unholy relationship that seems to be there between officials of the department, including these contractors, Chair. Because of in the changing of one contractor to the other, we are not made to understand as a committee as to what was the role of the department in that process. Like Honorable Sally has questioned, what were the terms of references that led to the appointment of one contractor to the other? I mean, you cannot just hand over a contract to another contractor without identifying key or critical areas that will require the attention of the current contractor. And secondly, Chair, was there any technical report probably provided by the consulting engineers that were on site that gave to the approval of the demolition of certain constructions that were done on the site? The last part that I would want to raise, Chair, it's on the side of Public Works. Like I said, I fully agree on instituting a full investigation on this matter. I fully agree with the proposal that we can no longer spend money on this project up until an investigation is concluded, at least within 3 months, Chair. But most importantly, the investigation must look into the financial management. I mean, if you look at the spending pattern from the department side, especially in the DBSA, Chair, you can tell that this project is almost 13 months behind in terms of schedule. And yet again, already we still have to pay 2.7 million. Why must we continue? 2.3 million. Why must we continue doing that, especially when we've not done the investigation, Chair? Chair, one of the things that it was discovered, or according to the report, it was discovered, it was the issue of poor quality work. What is it that has been done to this contractor? Is this contractor's, what do you call this? I just want to get the correct word in, Chair. But basically, this contractor has been scrapped off by virtue of them having failed to deliver quality work. I'm just not sure of the correct terminology, but basically what I'm trying to drive home, Chair, is after the failure of the contractor to complete the work, I mean, you should be able to take some steps as a way of terminating future relations with government. I'm just not sure of the correct terminology there, Chair. I think you would assist in moving forward. I'm raising this thing to check what is it that was done to Loop Construction that was appointed as the first contractor. And second to that, I want to check what has happened to Transtract Building and Services. I mean, we have had these two contractors, but the report does not indicate to us as to what is it that was done as a way of holding them accountable, especially when we have spent the money on them, Chair. I think for now, I'll be able to pause there and await some response in relation to issues that I've raised, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Mbele.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. Can you hear me now?
You sound perfect, Honourable Mbele.
Okay, thank you. All right, Chairperson, the first thing that I would like to understand and a question that I want to pose to the department is that, you see, when they have to do and prepare the document, it starts with the budget first.
This is not your day, Honourable Mbele. We are losing you again. Is there not any tower in town?
Maybe indicating the prices in terms of the project, and also at the end of the day, locally where the project is going to be implemented, you must have investigated in terms of the prices. What are the costs of the materials that is going to be used in that area? Even the salary, what you call the payments of the workers. What is the scope that is used in the area? So all those things, you could have maybe the machinery that will be used and all that stuff, so that when you do your budget, you've got your estimates. And then on top of that, you also had a budget in terms of your variation orders. Should anything goes, maybe escalation of the prices based on the economic challenges around the area. Now, what I don't understand is that when the first contractor was appointed, I know the issue of the prices is also a factor, that a person has to be in a certain amount, whatever that process. But you could have picked up, that contractor could have picked up, even the contractor itself, when they are going to price their document, they consult with these guys who are doing the quantity. I don't know whether you call it a quantity surveyor or bill, whatever. But in terms of the BOQs, they could have checked the prices of the local first. How much are they in terms of their materials and everything before they could even price? So what I don't understand is how did then later stage, and then it's only now when they have been appointed, how did they do their pricing in the first place? And also the department, how did they determine the what you call the prices, because of the budget in terms of that project, if they didn't do their own investigation in terms of pricing? Secondly, now, even though they have budgeted that money, now I want to check whether it has not caused that budget some certain deviations. Because obviously, I can assure you now, based on what we are getting in as a report, the budget of that project has really been interrupted. So that means there are certain deviations that have been done in that budget. So they've taken budget somewhere to peace and so forth and so forth. The other issue that I would like to understand, Chairperson, is the issue of the preparation of the certificate. When they pay, before they can the certificate be issued, they must prepare the certificate. How is that? I think the department is supposed to be on site. It must have somebody that is on site who is making sure that the work has been done. Whatever that is built to the when they build the department, it must have been measured that there is a work that has been done. Obviously, there are site meetings and everything. Now, there are inspectors as well that are going to inspect the work that has been done. So before the issuing of the certificate, during the time when the contractors are preparing the certificate, whoever that is assigned to do that work, to do the inspection, it's supposed to tell the contractor that you are ready now, you can prepare a certificate, because it's based on the work done. During that period, the process, that inspector is checking the quality, whether the work has been done, the work is of a quality that the department is expecting. Now, how do you allow then a contractor to submit a certificate that has not been inspected on site? And then at the same time, it also causes the delays in terms of payment. Remember, when you are causing the delay as a department, now you are opening a gap to the contractor to run away, even if there was something, because what I can see is the contractors that are making a mess on site, and then they look for the loophole in the contract and say, no, here's maybe I don't know what to call it, maybe here's a loophole, I can leave this because I'm not making any profit anymore. They have already milked the money. Remember, when people are doing the construction, there are certain areas where they check whether this area, if I complete this job until here, I could have made my profit. Now, if I continue, there's a high risk that I might be losing money. So they're very clever. For the mere fact that this work has been seeded in 3 contractors. Number 3, now, how do you allow, because even when a contractor says, yeah, there's a delay and everything, but you could have gone to the site and check whether this contractor, before it can seed that work to that other contractor, whether they have done a quantity work. How come you didn't see that? How did it pass the department, that problem? The last one, Chairperson, is the issue of the appointment of the contractor. How do you, if there's a grade 9 contractor locally, because it seems that this person is not staying around, is not a local person. How did it happen that you did not appoint the local person to do the work? Because according to me, if I seize a contract to another person, as a department, I could see, the department should see that, okay, right, this person is seizing the contract because he could not finish the work. And then how is this person going to finish this work? What difference is it going to make? Because he has already priced in terms of the bill of quantities. He has already priced. So now how are you going to do this? That means it goes to where? To variation orders. Now, in your variation orders, remember, you've got a limit. You don't just give out money. There's a limit in terms of the variation order. Now, in your variation order, how because it seems like the money that you have already spent after the project, beyond the budget, it's more than the accepted amount of the variation order. So now, those are the problems. There's a lot that I can raise, Chairperson. It's a lot. I don't want to lie to you. But for me, I feel that the department has really failed us. And it keeps on appointing and appointing and appointing. And that means there's a lot of money that is being spent into that. Somebody could say, that means there's someone who is busy eating the money, who is assisting those contractors to just say, okay, right, man, you can go out now. Because they know that they will be having this money, maybe eating it. It's just my suspicions. But I think we need to go deeper into this thing, because now it's going to DSA. DSA is going to appoint again. Where does that budget come from? Did you plan for this budget? Because now it seems that we are way above. And then there's money that needs to be left in the contract. So that if anything goes wrong, I've forgotten the name of that chairperson of that money that is left. I wrote it somewhere. But I want to check who will be responsible for that now. Because now remember, the first one they have left, they took their money as clean as it is. Now the other contractor took their money as clean as it is. The third one is the same. Now we are appointing another contractor. From the work that was done by the first contractor that is responsible for shabby work, it was taken by the second contractor. Now the second contractor left. Who is going to take the responsibility of the shabby work? With the, I don't know, what do they call that money that you leave? Whether it's 10% or it's how much that you leave for, you can claim it after 12 months when your work doesn't have any problems anymore. So I don't know who's maybe if you can understand me, can you please tell me on that one? I'm sorry, Chairperson, to take so long, but I felt that is very important to ask those questions. But in the nutshell, we need to investigate this project. We can't leave it like this. Something it's going wrong. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable members, I don't know what to say. I'm actually emotional listening to the honorable members. Much more emotional listening to the report and this kind of jiggle and juggle around things. I want to say that this committee is about to wash their hands in innocence of what is happening in the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. The entire community, the entire South Africa have been taken for a ride. We cannot sit with so many entities and so many issues where in most cases, we just can't get it right. So the Auditor General's report at some stage said, and I quote, that some of the job has been halted because of contractual disputes. We did not hear enough about that. We did not hear how far from completion is this project. Words such as, has this become a norm when it comes to reporting? There's no criminal charges against anyone. We don't know when it comes to the root cause of things, what is really happening here. Leadership management. And you know, it took 8 years for negotiations to have the remains of Sarah Baartman in South Africa. It was open, and I can remember it like yesterday, by the former President Thabo Mbeki. It was open with a fanfare at Hankie. Now here's the challenge. I am no more waiting for the department or approval or a flight booking or a car booking or whatever the case may be. I'm no more going to do that. I'm going to see for myself. I would go like I've done with the RIM. I will go and see for myself. Members, you are welcome. We will have a discussion on this. I'm going to make the following ruling. The Minister of the Department of Public Works said that he will meet with the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture. I think as the committee, I would like to suggest to the committee, and I would like to see by show of hands, should the majority agree, that we as a committee request the department both to halt and stop this project. Stop it with immediate effect. We have waited 8 years for negotiations. We have given contracts out. It took another 10 years without any satisfaction. We can wait another 10 years. Let us wait. I'm not sure. I have asked on the portfolio committee's chat group, when is Parliament going into recess and when are we opening? Let us give the minister, both ministers, enough ample time up until sometime in October when we open, to come up with a resolution on the plans, because it is also fruitless in making it decisions and to be part and party to a decision of a report of this nature. I don't want to be part, and I would not like this committee to be part of an approval of allocation of another money, of another budget. I also would like to request both the departments, and in particular Department of Public Works, to ensure that we prevent any further vandalism on the premises. We are going to halt this process until there is feedback from the outcome of the meeting between the two ministers. So I also not going to give an opportunity to respond. I would like you to respond by email to the portfolio committee on all the issues raised. And in the meantime, committee members, we will get in touch and we will see to what extent, when and where can we get onto a jump seat on a plane and or on a taxi to the precinct where these things are happening. So the resolution taken, if I can by hands, and if members are not satisfied, I'm happy to change. If members are satisfied that we put this on a hold until the two ministers meet, and in the meantime, the DPWI ensure the necessary security for that particular place, and then we take it from there. We have waited 9 years for negotiation. It was a slap in the face of South Africans of what has transpired up to date with the remains of Sarah Baartman. Honorable Eugene Mtetwa, I would like to recognize you.
Chair. I move for the motion that yes, indeed, that this project must be stopped until we are given solid, the ministers, the new ministers, we can't hold them that much accountable of this because it happened before their time. But they must come and give us their words that this project will move by when, and we must constantly be there to monitor it. This thing of leaving things to the management has shown us that it is not willing to move. As long as they are still in their jobs, they are fine. So I move for the adoption of that resolution, Chair.
Thank you. Is there a seconder to that?
Comrade Chair, Comrade Polona Makato, I second.
Thank you so much. I just want to inform the staff with the emotional state I'm in. I think we should scheduled our management meeting for another time. I also would like us to postpone the minutes. It is like a funeral for me. Really, I just can't get to it that we're just giving money and no one come to this podium ever to say, we've acted against Joe Maglua. He's in jail or there's allegations. We stop monies to him. We've done 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting. I'm not going to give any opportunity to anyone. I am adjourning this meeting. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you to everyone.
Chair, don't forget the meeting of the portfolio committee members is very important. Chair. The one that you said you are going to call.
Yes, Honorable Mbella, noted. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you to the department, both departments. The meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.